Welcome to the sanctuary. I'm Kyle, and I'm here to tell you, never be afraid to step into the pleasure den of the absurd. So early on when I first started this channel, I sent one of those early vids to a friend of mine, and he checked it out and he enjoyed it, and so I asked him, give me some ideas, what would you like to see me do, and ideally he really just said, well, I'd like to hear you talk about Kiss, the rock band Kiss, since we're kind of both fans. Other than that, he was like, no, I want to see what you come up with. So I was like, all right, that's fair. So now I decided to do my video on Kiss. Now, let's put it in context here. At one time, I did have all the Kiss albums, all the way up until Asylum. I guess it was, about 85 or 6 or 7, something like that. And after that, I was just like, I was done with the Kiss train, and, it's kind of funny looking back now. If you thought their stage outfits were kind of laughable in the 70s, if you were to laugh at it, I just think that the fucking wardrobe that they were wearing in the 80s was god awful. I mean, that was, there was something about that time period, man, in the mid and late 80s and all that glam stuff that just started, and I was already losing interest in kind of contemporary rock music at that time. So but let's get back to Kiss. Early on, being a young kid, I was probably like 5 years old when Destroyer came out, and seeing those covers, it certainly appealed to me because they kind of looked like, I was into the old time horror movies, so they kind of had that aspect going on, with especially with Gene Simmons, and his look and appearance and makeup and outfits, and but also musically, growing up, I was, very much a fan of the Beatles, as was, all my brothers and I, and growing up, and we all appreciated the Beatles and other rock music from the 60s, and they all seemed to have that same kind of sound, 2 guitars, drums, bass, and with multiple harmonies. And that was one of the great things I thought about Kiss. Good things I'll say about Kiss is the fact that I thought they were a pretty decent band. Their music, I don't know, isn't as worse or better than any contemporary rock band in the early to late 70s. I think you can kind of tell they latched on to certain genres, the whole glam bit early on, and just that sort of revival rock and roll, that was like coming from England, sort of like bands like Slade and and that kind of stuff that was going on at the time. It was very contemporary, and they were following those trends, much like the Rolling Stones did. They were very much aware of what was going on at the time, and you can hear that, especially with the Rolling Stones, from their early albums all the way through to the early 80s, early to mid 80s, and so I liked the twin guitar attack. It wasn't anything really different than what was, like I say, what was going on or what I had heard before, and I liked the way their voices sounded. Simmons, when he sang lead, he had that low grumble voice, but when he sang harmony with Paul Stanley, it was really smooth, and I thought Peter Criss had a great singing voice, and eventually so did Ace Frehley. So I had all the albums from the first one all the way through to Asylum. I ended up really selling them all to a friend who was interested in having them. So there you go. And the only album I have is the reissue from 2014. They put out Kiss Alive, which was the first album I ever bought. It was that drum beat, that drum break in Rock and Roll All Night that got me, because it was very similar to, the beat you heard from Ringo Starr on Abbey Road, on the last track of Abbey Road there, so I liked it, and I would recommend this album to anybody that wants to if you're not aware of Kiss and you want to know where to start, I'd say start with this, man. And if you don't like it, don't listen to anything else. I mean, because this is essentially songs from their first 3 albums. This was the 4th album they came out with. It was a big seller. It saved their ass, and it saved the ass of their record company, Casablanca Records. And so it has the iconic cover. I always thought, it was odd the way Ace Frehley was holding that guitar. But it's a cool cover, and the back is cool too, because, this is what, I love that little banner there and all the people, because this is the way people looked in the 70s, and so all the songs on this album, are from the first 4 albums, and they show you, when you open it up, they show you the album covers of those albums. And Dressed to Kill, I always liked that cover, where they're standing there in the suits. I always thought that was pretty cool. And so on the other thing here is you have these notes. I really do not know if they wrote these themselves, if that is their handwriting or not. I've never seen it said one way or the other. And not only that, the one cool thing about Kiss albums was they usually, especially after this one, they usually gave you some kind of poster or, little collectible book or something, so like this is really cool. It gives you pictures of the band in action, and this is when it was all brand new. And I mean, look at this. This is what they were all about. They were all about their stage show and giving people something new, to see. when they were in concert, and quite frankly, it's rock and roll, and Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley, and so that again, that was one of the cool things. They released an Alive 2 after their next 3 albums, which I thought was pretty cool, and they gave you a little booklet in there as well. And so I would say that now that I'm older, I do love this album. It's a great album, and I like the songs on it. I like the performances on it. Apparently the album was produced by Eddie Kramer, famous Jimi Hendrix producer, as well as engineer and producer for other well-known rock acts like Led Zeppelin. So there was that, and but nowadays, I mean, I think they should have just gave it up a long time ago. Seeing them dress up now, I mean, it's almost like now it's like, I would care for them to take off the suits, take off the makeup, just play as is, but, I mean, I guess if they want to keep all that as part of their legacy, which, it is, okay. Well, I mean, in that case, you guys should have quit 20 years ago, man. I mean, seriously, I mean, Paul Stanley can't sing anymore, and that's not his fault, whatever, but I mean, now there's big issues and arguments about them playing with backing tracks. Is it, I mean, back in the day, these guys were, proud of their stage show and giving the fans a show and all this and that. And, warts and all, they gave it to you, which you would expect from any band. But now, I mean, just what are people seeing? It's it's a circus, and it doesn't deserve the gigantic fanfare that it's getting, and the drama, the business and personal drama that's going on with these guys, especially right now. It's their legacy is tarnished. I mean, just go if you want to enjoy, well, for me, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, yeah, the even the old stuff, it's, so since this channel is show and tell, I was at one of the local movie conventions last year, and there was this vendor who was selling all of his CDs and DVDs for like $5 a piece, no matter what. And I was able to pick up this. It's a little beat up, but it's a 2 DV set of basically what I consider their, best years, 1974 to 1977. It's a DVD, and it has this stuff here, and it's got a booklet, and it tells you everything that's on it. And I was happy to get it. Yeah, sure, for $5. The discs play, and you get just read you what's on it. It's got TV live appearances, Mike Douglas show, interview. It's got a whole concert from Winterland, 1975. Midnight special TV appearance. They do a couple songs, some promo clips that they filmed. A little documentary from '75, Cadillac, Michigan. There's a whole concert from Cobo Hall, 1976. The first disc, the first DVD is 3 hours, 23 minutes. Disc 2 has a couple clips from the Poland Halloween special from 1976. That's pretty notorious. That's when Destroyer came out. They have a whole concert from the Budokan Hall in Tokyo, Japan, from April 1977. And Don Kirshner's rock concert from '77, and a whole concert from Houston, Texas in looks like September '77. And the total time of DVD number 2 is 2 hours and 36 minutes. You know, it's basically, you know, if I had to get a couple more Kiss albums, the one actually I'm really looking out for is Double Platinum. I'd like to get another copy of that. I sold that one, and it's kind of like a compilation of greatest hits at the time, and you know, that's pretty cool. That would be cool to have, and the Ace Frehley solo album. I mean, that one's the best one from '78. You know, they released 4 solo albums in 1978 after Kiss Alive 2. And I mean, they were full out, you know, just exploding all over the place. Kiss was. I mean, you know, so after, you know, Alive, they did 3 more albums, and Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun. Then they do Kiss Alive 2, which side 4 of that is all studio tracks. And then I think they came out with Double Platinum. They decided to release 4 solo albums all at once with the Kiss logo on it and their name. And those all came with a poster. And then at the same time, they made a movie. So I have this, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. It was originally a USA made-for-television movie. So they showed it on broadcast television. And so this version of the film is, this is a letterboxed version of the film in nice widescreen that was released to theaters over in Europe and overseas. And apparently the soundtrack, or rather like songs used in various scenes, is different from the broadcast TV version and the theatrical European version. They highlight various songs from all of their solo albums at the time, and it's a pretty bizarre movie. For years, nobody was allowed to interview. When they were interviewing Kiss, nobody was allowed to bring it up. They would not talk about it because it's such a goofy movie. It's cheesy. It's, you know, one of these films that is like so bad it's good. If you like to, you know, throw your popcorn at the screen and make fun of it, you know, like Mystery Science Theater, well, this is a good one. And I was thinking to myself, as I was watching this, I'm watching it and I'm like, really kind of like entranced by it, you know. I mean, I like a good cheesy movie, and I don't like it when a cheesy movie is cheesy on purpose, you know. And that's what's one thing great about like the old science fiction films of the 50s. They play it straight. I mean, it might not, you know, it might be, you know, some guy in a suit, you know, and you can see wires and everything. But they're playing it for real, like, like it is real, and you know, there's a difference between playing it straight and being intentionally cheesy. And I don't think this was intentionally made to be cheesy. It just is cheesy. And and again, I think, such a thing, people got burned out. I mean, between the Kiss toys and radios and all this and that, and even, the band being, realizing, oh, geez, just, we thought we were hot shit, an adult-oriented band, and all these little kids are wearing our makeup and into us and stuff. And so I think after, 78, the band just, I don't know, looking back on it now, that's when things started falling apart for me. And, I don't know why I kept buying the albums. I mean, I did like some of the songs, later on and whatnot. But in hindsight, looking back, I mean, like, geez, they could have quit, after that, before Dynasty, that was really kind of like, they went into a lull. I mean, when I was in 8th grade, or let's put it this way, anytime after 1978, let's say 79, from 79 to, 84, you would get laughed at by other kids and mocked if you said you were a Kiss fan. I mean, we all were when we were littler, but by that time, as we got a little older, they weren't into it. And I mean, they kind of did have a comeback, I would say, with Creatures of the Night, and Lick It Up gave him a little bump after turbulent years with after this and Unmasked and Dynasty and Music from the Elder, which I don't know, I guess you could get give and take, but I don't know, for me now, I'm happy just to have the little collection. I also have this that I picked up 1974-78 television 2 DVD collection of TV appearances. There's some performances on here, but a lot of it is like news clips about the band and the tour, and television commercials for their records, toys, and shit like that, and all kinds of stuff. Whatever little clip was from the news, or there's some live performances, some promos, but it's mostly commercials and news clips and that kind of stuff. But that's kind of interesting to have. I mean, again, I like to have these. A lot of the things I have in the sanctuary are not necessarily for myself, for my own enjoyment, but I do like to have some things for other people who might enjoy it, so that when they do visit, I put it on, and lots of times I get great results. I'll put something on that they haven't heard in a while, or maybe hadn't seen, that brings them back to a time, and it's great. This is why I love having people over, and so it's like I say, it's more like a library than a collection, but I like to have something for everyone, and also too for myself. I like having it, knowing other people will enjoy it. So with that, if you want to help support this channel, I have a email where you can donate via PayPal, and eventually, you know, I'd like to get a laptop to better edit these videos and do little titles and on-screen graphics and more edits, you know. This video is running 25 minutes now, but I'm trying to keep them shorter. But so with that, you know, never be afraid to step into the pleasure den of the absurd.